Ladies and gentlemen, we live in a world consumed by noise, constant notifications, endless conversations, and an unrelenting demand for attention. Connectivity surrounds us. Yet, amidst this chaos, there exists a rare and remarkable individual who chooses a different path. She does not seek distractions or validation. Instead, she chooses solitude. A woman who intentionally spends time alone is not just independent. She is powerful. And yes, she is dangerous. But let me explain. Dangerous in the most inspiring and empowering sense of the word. Why? Because solitude is a crucible for self-reliance. When a woman chooses to be alone, not because she has to, but because she wants to, she steps away from the need for external approval. She doesn't seek others to define her worth. She builds it herself. Slowly, deliberately, she crafts an identity based on her own principles, values, and aspirations. This level of self-reliance disrupts the status quo, a world often built on insecurity and dependence. A woman who knows herself as a force society doesn't quite know how to handle. Because let's face it, when you can't control someone, when they don't need your validation, you can't manipulate them. But here's where it gets even more profound. Solitude breeds clarity. When the noise of the world fades away, something extraordinary happens. You hear it, your inner voice. A voice drowned out by the demands and distractions of others. This woman, through the power of solitude, hones her ability to think deeply, critically, and independently. She becomes sharp, focused, unstoppable. In this state of clarity, she sees what others cannot. She notices patterns that others overlook. She devises strategies born from calm reflection rather than chaotic reaction. She doesn't rush to conform to societal pressures. Instead, she weighs her choices against her values, her principles, and her vision for her life. And this clarity makes her dangerous because she cannot be easily swayed. She is immune to the superficial judgments of the world. She doesn't crumble at rejection or criticism. She stands firm in her convictions, guided by her internal compass rather than the shifting tides of public opinion. But this power doesn't stop at self-reliance or clarity. It goes deeper. A woman who spends time alone discovers an inner power that is transformative. This power doesn't shout. It doesn't demand attention. It is subtle, steady, and undeniable. She masters her thoughts, emotions, and actions. She leads without dominating, inspires without seeking recognition, and influences without forcing her hand. Her mere presence becomes a statement. She walks into a room, and her energy changes it. Not because she seeks the spotlight, but because her inner strength speaks louder than words ever could. Let me ask you this. In a world obsessed with external validation, where self-worth is measured in likes and comments, what happens when someone refuses to play by those rules? What happens when a woman says, "I don't need your approval to feel whole"? She becomes free. Free to pursue what truly matters. Free to reject superficiality. Free to make choices that align with her dreams, not society's expectations. This freedom empowers her to thrive in ways most people can't even imagine. But let's be clear, this journey isn't easy. Solitude requires courage. It demands that she face her own thoughts, her own fears, and sometimes her own pain. It's not always comfortable, but through this discomfort she grows. She becomes resilient. She builds a foundation of self-trust that no external force can shake. And this resilience is the ultimate power. When life throws challenges her way, and it will, she doesn't break. She doesn't collapse under pressure or run to others for solutions. Instead, she faces adversity head-on, confident in her ability to navigate it. Her strength is quiet but profound. It's the kind of strength that makes people stop and wonder, how does she do it? And the answer lies in her solitude. In solitude, she finds clarity. In clarity, she finds power. And in power, she finds freedom. But here's the most incredible part. Her strength doesn't just serve her. It inspires others. Because she doesn't operate from a place of neediness or insecurity. She uplifts those around her. She shows by example that true power isn't about controlling others. It's about mastering yourself. Her influence is transformative. She doesn't need a shout to be heard. Her authenticity resonates on a level that others can feel, even if they can't quite explain why. And this is where the balance comes in. Solitude, if misunderstood, can turn into isolation. There's a fine line between using solitude as a tool for growth and retreating into it to avoid the world. This woman knows the difference. She doesn't withdraw out of fear or bitterness. She uses her time alone to reflect, recharge, and recalibrate. She doesn't isolate herself. She prepares herself. This balance is what makes her so remarkable. She uses solitude not to disconnect from the world, but to engage with it more authentically. She steps back to gain perspective, to sharpen her focus, and to ensure that when she returns, she does so with purpose. In doing so, she redefines what it means to be strong. True strength, as she shows us, isn't about how loudly you speak or how much you control. It's about depth, intention, conviction. This woman, the one who spends time alone, not only changes her own life but becomes a beacon of hope for others. She reminds us all that the greatest power we can cultivate comes from within. So, the next time you see someone who thrives in solitude, don't underestimate her. Because in her quiet moments, she is building something extraordinary. She is creating a life on her own terms. She is becoming unstoppable. And that, my friends, is a kind of power the world desperately needs.